Hi everyone, this is Shagun Agarwal. I'm so grateful that you're spending your time and energy into watching this video. If you would have seen any of my past videos or even scanned through my channel, you would know that most of the content that I take for different videos of mine are from the different books that I have read over the years. In this video, I'm going to share with you the top 5 autobiographies I feel which are the best written. The best experiences are shared over there, and you can have the best learnings from there. This is purely based upon my judgment, and it can differ for you or for anyone else. These days, we see so many travel influencers and we see so many travel blogs on different social media websites such as Instagram and Facebook. And if you follow any of those, you would have seen the tagline that is very common on their channel, and that is don't go for materialistic stuff, go for experiences. Experiences are very vital in life. They really broaden your horizon and give you a better sense of thinking. There is no alternative to experiences. You can have first hand experiences while traveling or while having coffee at Starbucks. But you can also have experiences through the experiences of others. And that is when we read autobiographies, because that is where eminent people or accomplished people share their own experiences. So either we can learn from our experiences, but that becomes limited. We can also learn from others' experiences. Autobiographies are like the window to the soul of a person. That author who is writing the autobiography is sharing his highs and his lows, his success and his withdrawals, his failures and his accomplishments. This is the closest you can get to that person if you are not a part of their family or friends list. Richard Branson once said, I read everything, but generally more fact than fiction, especially autobiographies and biographies. I have read Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela at least twice on holidays. Every time I'm totally awed by his vision, strength, and forgiveness. So let's get started with the first autobiography that I recommend to all of you, and that is My Life in Full by Indra Nooyi. She is the former CEO of PepsiCo, and she is a lady from an Indian origin. She has done her master's degree from India, and then she moved on to US to climb up the ladder and reach to become the CEO of one of the most prominent companies in the world, PepsiCo. I really recommend this book to everyone, but I especially recommend this book to people who are setting up their careers abroad, person who is a woman, and especially a mother. While in general, if you're a person who wants to understand the struggles of everyday life and leadership lessons that she has shared in the book through her own experiences, then absolutely this book is for you. This book is for anyone who is wanting to succeed in their personal and professional life. She talks about her childhood days. She talks about her environment in the school, her relationship with the siblings, her relationship with her parents. Or the second autobiography that I recommend to you is A Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. It is the same book that I talked about a couple of seconds ago, which was recommended by Richard Branson. This book is one of the best selling books in the world and has been recommended by a lot of eminent, successful, and famous people. I read this book around 10 years ago on my Amazon Kindle app. That is why I cannot share with you the hardcover of the book, but you can see in the screen over here. Nelson Mandela is a very well known activist, and he's the person who stood up against hate and against oppression that was in terms of black people at that time in South Africa. In his book, he shared his experiences from when he was a child to when he became a prisoner in the South African prison for 27 years. This book provides a detailed account of Mandela's life, and it is recommended for anyone who wants to understand the value of struggle and freedom in life. Even though I read this book 10 years ago, there was one incident mentioned in the book that stayed with me, that became my biggest takeaway, and I still remember it even after 10 years. The experience was that when Mandela was being released From the prison, after staying there for 27 years, he was obviously very angry. He was very angry at the injustice that he had to go through. And being angry was very obvious for any normal human. He looked at the prison and said, if I don't forgive them now, they're going to stay with me all my life. But if I forgive them, then I will become at peace. So that experience really shows the power of forgiveness, the power of letting go, not for them, but for your own self, for your own inner peace. The third book that I would like to recommend you is Open, an autobiography by Andre Agassi. He's a very famous tennis player who achieved many Grand Slams and other titles in his life. If you read this autobiography, you will feel that you're very close to Andre Agassi because he has shared very small details also about his life, about his childhood days when he used to be pushed by his father to learn tennis. He hated tennis, but that became his identity in his life. Through this book, you will feel that you know him extremely personally, and it will impact you at a different level where you will see that he's just like any other person. He's just like me and you who is struggling on a daily basis with different pressures that the society and the family is throwing at them and the pressure to perform at a sport. Unlike many celebrity autobiographies, Andre Agassi's autobiography will impact you at a different level. You will feel that you know him very personally. He's also sharing his experiences at a very personal level where he's being continuously pushed by his father to learn tennis from a very early age on. And that is why he started hating tennis, but that later on became his identity. We all have felt in our childhood days that we are being pressurized either by our family members or by the society to do something or the other in life which we don't want to do, either becoming a doctor or an engineer or anything it can be. So if you are in that phase or if you've overcome that phase, you would absolutely relate to this book. Throughout the book, you will feel that Andre Agassi hates playing tennis, but he continued to play on that sport until his mid-30s. He was forced by his father to throw at least 1,000,000 balls a year, 25 balls on a daily basis, which would make him feel very exhausted. And because he didn't even like it, he never was able to understand its value until he started playing it professionally. Andre Agassi has been extremely vulnerable in this book. He's tried to show his big and small struggles and how he overcame that to become one of the biggest tennis players in the world. The fourth book that I would like to recommend you is Becoming by Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama needs no introduction. She was the wife of the President of United States, Barack Obama. This book is divided into 3 parts: Becoming Me, Becoming Us, and Becoming More. And in these 3 parts, she talked about her youth and her days in Chicagoland area. The second is her days with Barack Obama and her days at the White House. This autobiography gives a direct glimpse into the White House and her experiences of how she managed public campaigns while being a wife and while being a mother of 2 kids. After she finished writing this book, Michelle came out in the public and said, writing this book has been a deeply personal experience, and she has shared her own personal experiences to a great level, her own ups and downs, her own upbringing, and how her days with Barack Obama changed her future. This book also talks about Michelle's experiences of finding her own voice and her own identity as the First Lady. This book is a little bit similar to Indra Nooyi's My Life in Full, because both have been written by a woman, both have been written by a mother of 2 girls, and how they have climbed up in life while also juggling between work and family. The 5th book that I would like to recommend to you is The Diary of a Young Girl by Annie Frank. Before I start talking about this book, I want to give you a little background. Annie Frank, who is 13 years old in the year 1942, is being gifted a notebook, a diary by her father on her 13th birthday. She starts to write on that notebook her daily experiences. So in the first few pages of the book, which is directly taken from her notebook, from her journal, that her dad had gifted her. She talked about her daily experiences at school and at home, the things that you would expect from a 13-year-old. But then she starts mentioning how the Nazis started putting out rules and pressures on the Jew. And being a Jew family, she had to go into hiding from the Nazis. And they lived in a one room for the next 2 years with another family. So she had nowhere to go apart from that room. And that's when she started using her notebook, that same notebook, to journal her own experiences. So when you read this autobiography, you would feel that you are transported into that era, that you are transported into 1942, and you would start imagining how a 13-year girl would feel from the political oppression and the politics that was going around her in her environment. This is not a regular book, and you will get a glimpse of how the world operated, what all the Jews had to go through at that time, and what a small teenage girl experiences and imagines as the life around her. She used to live in the Netherlands, and when the Nazis started attacking and oppressing the Jews, she had to go into hiding. And this book is written around the Holocaust period. So if you really want to know what happened during that time and the experiences that people had to go through, then you should really read this book. By the time Anne Frank was 15 years old, she died in a Nazi concentration camp. And she mentions in the book that she knows that she will die very soon, but she is still hopeful for humanity. She's still hopeful that things will change for the good. Anne Frank did not write this as a book. She was just writing her journal during those 2 years when she was stuck in that one room. And when when the room was cleared out, people found out her diary and all of her experiences, which later became a book and it got published. It went on to become one of the best selling books, one of the best autobiographies, because of the sensitive information that is written in the book. This book is also special because it has been written by a 13-year-old, how she has experienced the Holocaust, how she has experienced the horror and the anger seen in the hearts of people during that time, the oppression that they had to go through, the most difficult times that Jews have seen. It is one of the most famous books on the Holocaust, and it's really special because it gives you insight into the experiences of a person who was stuck in one bedroom at the time of the Nazi oppression and what she had to go through, and the understanding of a young mind. It will give you a glimpse of what a 13-year-old feels and what a 13-year-old had to undergo at such an early age. Frank reveals very minute and sensitive details of her everyday life during the war until 2 years when her life got over in a Nazi concentration camp. Through her experiences that she has shared in her journal, you will understand how a 13-year-old had to go through so much at an early age because of political oppression.